guys, it's Boats here. So a couple months ago, I went on my Birthright trip. So for those of you that don't know what Birthright is, when you're Jewish, you are given the birthright to go to Israel once free to experience the whole Judaism thing in the Holy Land. There's a company out there called Taglit that will send Jewish adults to Israel for 10 days completely free. So I went on Birthright in December of 2016. I left on December 22nd and I was there until January 1st. Took the plane on back to America right after our New Year's celebration. And I figured I would take this time to kind of talk about my experience with Birthright. This video ended up being a lot longer than I expected it to, so I'm probably going to be splitting this up into different parts. So here's part 1, and next time I will release part 2 whenever we don't have a different video to put up. I waited a few months to make this video because usually when something happens and I'll think it's either amazing or I'll think it's awful, but then I'll sit with it and then my opinion will change and think, maybe it wasn't that good, maybe it wasn't that bad. With Birthright, while I was on it, I thought it was amazing. And several months later, I still think it was amazing. Like, it's one of the few things that, even after sitting on it for a while, I still see that I had an amazing time there, and I absolutely loved it. So if you are Jewish and not sure whether or not you want to go on Birthright, definitely do. It is a worthwhile experience. There are several different kinds of Birthright trips you can go on, so like each trip will have some sort of theme to it. You can go with your college, you can go with people with similar interests, so I know there was an environmental trip that a friend of mine went on. I went on an LGBT Birthright trip, so I was able to spend 10 days in Israel with other queer Jews, and it was amazing. I had a lovely time. Warning, I may mess up what happened on what days just because it was months ago and I don't really remember super well, but I'm gonna try to space this out day by day and get it right, but some things might be a little mixed up. Ugh. So the first day of my Birthright trip was when we were still in America and we were all meeting up at the airport. So when I got there, I saw the Madrachim. Madrachim is a term to refer to someone that's kind of in charge. So our Madrachim were our trip leaders. I'm going to be referring to them as such. Madrachim is plural, and while Madrich is singular masculine and Madricha is singular feminine. So I will be switching between the terms Madrachim, Madrich, and Madricha, so there you go, just a little Hebrew lesson at the beginning there. So when I got to the airport, I went and I saw the Madrachim there. I went up, talked to them, fill out a bit of paperwork, and then we were sitting at the airport waiting for everyone else. So we got on the plane, and I could not fall asleep because I had left my melatonin in my stowaway bag. So I was sitting on the plane, I had the window seat, I looked out the window, and just the stars over the Atlantic Ocean was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen in my life. And so if the person sitting behind me was awake, they would have seen me pressing my face against the window like this, trying to get the best view possible because it was just so beautiful. Eventually we got to the Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv, and from there we got on the bus and slept some more on the way up to the north. I don't remember exactly where in the north we were staying, like the name of the city or anything, but we ended up going to a kibbutz, which is kind of a community housing thing where a bunch of people will live on a kibbutz, and rather than like paying rent, you will do jobs on the kibbutz. So some people will be making food and then other people will be tending to the animals, stuff like that, kind of like living on a farm. So one of the first things we did when we got to Israel is we made ourselves name tags. So I made my name tag here, so you can see it says Boats on it. And then it has my pronouns there. For those of you that did not know, I do use they, them pronouns or anything gender neutral. So we had that. So we went up to the kibbutz and we had a little get to know you activity before we went to bed. I should say that because this is an LGBT Birthright trip, we were very conscious of genders and rooming people together. And so throughout the trip, rather than having girls stay with girls and boys stay with boys and non-binary people like me just being by themselves, we mixed up the genders in each room. So some nights it would be just girls, and some nights it would be just boys, and then some nights it would be just non-binary people, but usually it was a mix of everybody in one room. So the first couple nights that we spent on the kibbutz, I was with a girl named Hannah and a guy named Sivan.